I know you wanted these released. Now that they have been, what do they tell you?
I think they tell us a couple of things. One is just the core issue of these memos, the leaking of these memos, triggering, as Comey himself admitted he was trying to do, a special counsel investigation. After reviewing the memos, I just think to myself, how in the heck does this justify a special counsel? I mean, I was opposed to Mueller's appointment because I didn't think there was an underlying crime that the Justice Department was conflicted over. But you look at this, and I think it really shows a president who was innocent. He was upset that there was all this stuff being put out publicly, while privately Comey is telling him, don't worry, there's nothing involving you. And he just wanted the truth to come out. So that's really what it shows. But I think, beyond that kind of major point, I think there's problems for Jim Comey with this. He did leak 4 memos to his buddy for the purpose of triggering a special counsel. And now we know 2 of those memos had classified information. And so that's something that's very serious, because this wasn't an example of just being negligent with classified information. I mean, he made the decision to intentionally leak classified documents for a political motive. So it's been referred to the Inspector General. I led a group of 11 congressmen to refer that conduct to the Justice Department because I think it may violate federal statutes. So I think Comey is really the big loser in these memos being released.
Do you think that James Comey was motivated from the day he found out that the new president of the United States was indeed Donald Trump and not Hillary Clinton? In other words, look, sometimes I worry that people tend to solve the equation, perhaps, before they know the answer. And so he knew his answer, possibly, I'm asking you this, and just needed to find the parts to get him there. So maybe that's one of the reasons he was keeping these detailed notes, because he knew eventually he was going to leak them. And I guess I just question the integrity of doing something like that, if that's the case, Congressman.
I think that's a good point. He did not take notes when he met with Barack Obama. He did not take notes when he met with Loretta Lynch. And he now will say that he thought Loretta Lynch was conflicted about the Hillary email case, yet he never leaked or called for a special counsel. And that it's only about Donald Trump that he goes to these lengths. And I can tell you this, Trish, this is going to need more investigation. But when he describes bringing that dossier to Donald, then President-elect Donald Trump's attention, he says, well, CNN has it, they want to run it, but they need a news hook in either to run it. Well, guess what the news hook turned out to be? The fact that Comey briefed President-elect Trump on the dossier. That let the media then run with it. So I think one of 2 things probably happened. Either Comey was complicit in doing that because he wanted it out in the public square, or Jim Clapper, who I think Clapper is the one that leaked to CNN, Clapper told him, hey, why don't you brief Trump on this? And Comey was kind of an unwitting dunce in all this. But either way, it doesn't reflect good on him. And he never discussed the other allegations in the dossier. He just talked about the hotel room and kind of the salacious part of it.
And by the way, Congressman, let me add to this. What I was struck by, amazed by, I don't know if we still have the tape. We probably don't. But we played it for the viewer the other day. George Stephanopoulos asked him, hey, did you mention who actually commissioned this dossier? Did you think it was important? James Comey says, no, I didn't think it was important. Did not think it was important that the president know these were his political opponents that were financing this so-called dossier. I mean, to me, that's kind of vital information. If you're going to brief the president on this scandalous thing that he's being accused of, shouldn't he know who actually was doing the accusing?
Yeah, if you think that it wasn't important, like Comey says, then I got a bridge in Brooklyn I'd be happy to sell you. I mean, give me a break. In fact, had it been known to the public that this dossier was financed by the Clinton campaign, the FBI would not have been able to get away with using it to the extent that they did, is really the centerpiece of the FISA applications, and the whole collusion narrative was, almost all of it based on this. So, yes, he was intentionally keeping information from the president-elect. I think the reason he briefed him on the salacious aspect of the dossier was because that then would provide a news hook to get it out. And I think he had it out for Trump from day one. And Trump's decision to fire him, looking now, I thought it was the right decision at the time, but clearly it was the right decision.
Congressman, last question to you. Do we indeed have a deep state? And is James Comey part of it?
Well, I think you have an elite bureaucratic class like Comey, like McCabe, like Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, who just believe that they're superior to the American people. They think elections are inconvenient, and they acted accordingly by basically being an opposition party. Opposition party to Donald Trump. I mean, it's not the way the government's supposed to operate.